They tried to call them family. Inside ordinary homes from Brazil to Indonesia, people went to sleep at night beside predators capable of crushing their bones, ripping off their faces, or dragging them into rivers without warning. Some of these stories went viral on social media. Others ended with body parts scattered across a feeding pen, with police officers refusing to describe what they had just seen. Join us, and let's discover the people who accidentally adopted monsters instead of pets. Let's go.
In 2019, a Brazilian couple from the small city of Maringá went viral after local news cameras captured something nobody expected to find inside an ordinary suburban home. For 10 straight years, they had been raising a fully grown python inside their living room, treating the giant serpent like a regular house pet. The snake slithered freely through every room, coiled on the floor while they ate dinner, and even had its own dedicated sleeping area. What truly shocked viewers was not just the size of the animal, but the casual way the family interacted with it. They petted it, held it, and walked past it like it was a common house cat. Imagine waking up at 3 in the morning, walking into your kitchen for a glass of water, and brushing against a reptile longer than your couch. That was their daily reality. The couple insisted the python was gentle, well-fed, and properly registered with environmental authorities. But specialists immediately raised red flags. Pythons are not venomous, but they are constrictors built for one single purpose: crushing their prey to death with raw muscular force. A python this size can wrap around a human chest and stop a beating heart in less than 60 seconds. There is no warning before the strike, no growl, no loud hiss to save you. And yet, this was only the gentle opening of a much darker pattern. Because if a snake the length of a small car can quietly live inside a Brazilian living room for an entire decade, what kind of creature might be hiding inside the next house we visit?
In Kenya, hidden inside the savannah outside Nairobi, sits one of the strangest nurseries on the planet. Inside the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, baby elephants do not act like wild animals. They wrap their trunks around human handlers, drink milk from oversized baby bottles, and cry actual tears when their caretakers leave the room. Founded in 1977 by conservationist Dame Daphne Sheldrick, this place exists for one reason: to raise orphaned elephant calves whose mothers were slaughtered by poachers, killed by farmers, or destroyed by drought. Most of these babies arrive traumatized, dehydrated, and emotionally broken. Some refuse to eat, some refuse to sleep. So the keepers do something almost impossible. They become the mother. Caretakers stay with each baby 24 hours a day, sleeping in stalls beside them, feeding them every 3 hours, and even covering them with blankets to mimic the warmth of their real mother's bodies. Picture a creature that will one day weigh 6 tons, being rocked to sleep like a human newborn. That is the daily routine here. The bond becomes so intense that elephants raised at this sanctuary recognize their human mothers decades later, even after being released back into the wild. They return to visit. They bring their own calves. But behind this beautiful image lies a brutal truth. Every single elephant in this nursery is alive only because something terrible killed their real family. And the next case takes that exact same emotion, raising a wild creature like your own child, and twists it into a legal nightmare you will not believe.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this. In the state of Michigan, an ordinary American family found a tiny baby deer lying next to her dead mother on the side of a country road. The mother had been hit by a car. The fawn was alone, freezing, and only hours away from death. So they did what any compassionate family might do. They picked her up, took her home, and named her Lily. What started as a simple rescue turned into something that would explode across the entire United States. Because Lily did not just survive, she thrived. The deer slept inside the house, watched television on the couch with the children, played with the family dogs, and walked through the kitchen like any other pet. She bonded so deeply with the family that separating her from them would have been emotionally devastating. Then, the government found out. In Michigan, the law is brutally clear.
Wild animals like deer cannot legally be raised inside private homes. Only licensed wildlife rehabilitators are permitted to keep them. The Department of Natural Resources moved to seize Lily and return her to the wild. The internet erupted. Petitions, protests, and viral videos flooded social media demanding the family be allowed to keep her. After weeks of bitter legal battle, something rare happened. The family won. They obtained a special license, paid all required fees, built proper enclosures, and turned their property into a registered facility. Lily lives there today, fully grown, fully loved, and fully legal. But not every wild rescue ends with paperwork and a happy ending. Sometimes the animal you save grows up to become something you can no longer control.
Number 10. Save a Fox. On YouTube, a channel called Save a Fox racked up millions of views by showing something that looked impossible. A young woman named Michaela Rains, living inside her American home with dozens of foxes acting exactly like dogs. They jumped on her couches, demanded belly rubs, stole her socks, screamed at her for treats, and curled up on her chest like puppies. Michaela had founded the rescue as a teenager, dedicating her entire life to saving foxes from the fur industry, abandonment, and abuse. By the time the channel went viral, she had rescued hundreds of animals. The footage broke viewers' brains. Foxes are not domesticated. They are not dogs. They are not cats. They scream like dying women in the middle of the night. They mark every single surface in your home with a smell so strong it feels like burning rubber mixed with skunk spray. They never stop digging, biting, and climbing on furniture. Yet in Michaela's house, they melted into her arms like the most loving pets imaginable. But the story carries a heartbreaking shadow. Michaela openly battled severe mental health struggles for years, made worse by relentless online harassment from internet trolls who attacked her constantly across her social media accounts. In 2025, she tragically lost that battle and ended her own life, leaving behind the foxes she had spent her entire existence trying to save. Her story reminds us that loving wild animals can take a profound emotional toll. But the next case proves that emotional bonds can sometimes deceive even the smartest humans into raising something they completely misidentified.
Number 9. The wolf raised as a dog. A family discovered what looked like a tiny lost puppy near the woods. He was helpless, shivering, and clearly alone. Their hearts melted instantly, so they took him home, named him, and began raising him like any other dog. He ate dog food, he played fetch, he slept at the foot of their bed. There was just one problem. He kept growing and growing and growing. Within months, he was eating triple the amount of food a normal dog would eat. His paws were the size of a man's hand. His shoulders climbed past the kitchen table. His teeth were longer and sharper than any breed they recognized. Worried something was deeply wrong, they took him to a veterinarian for tests. The results stunned them completely. Their beloved family dog was not a dog at all. He was a fully wild gray wolf, almost certainly born in the forests near their property. Instead of panicking, the family made a choice that horrified wildlife experts everywhere. They kept him. They argued he had been raised among humans his entire life and could never survive alone in the wild. They claimed he was gentle, calm, and obedient. But specialists immediately warned them about a dangerous truth. Wolves are not dogs. Even wolves raised by humans from birth retain primal hunting instincts buried deep inside their nervous system. Something as simple as a sudden movement, a high-pitched sound, or the smell of fresh blood can flip an internal switch with no warning at all. The animal you have trusted for years can become a deadly predator in less than a second. And the next case shows you exactly what happens when humans pretend wild predators are house pets.
Number 8. Humaid al-Bukaishi. In the United Arab Emirates, a man named Humaid al-Bukaishi built one of the most surreal and disturbing social media empires on Earth. His videos racked up tens of millions of views by showing something that looked straight out of a fantasy film. Lions, tigers, cheetahs, bears, panthers, and every apex predator you can imagine living freely inside his luxury Dubai mansion. The animals lounged on his sofas, walked beside his Lamborghinis, slept in his bedroom, and even rode in his sports cars with their massive heads hanging out the windows. To his millions of followers, Humaid looked like the king of beasts, a real-life Disney villain who had achieved what humanity has always dreamed of, taming the untamable creatures of the wild. But behind every cute video lurked a brutal reality experts begged the public to understand. These animals were almost always purchased as cubs. Cubs are easy to handle. Cubs are friendly. Cubs make perfect viral content. The problem comes later. Once a tiger reaches 3 years old, it weighs over 500 pounds. It can decapitate a full-grown man with one casual swipe of its paw. A cheetah can hit 60 miles per hour inside your home in a single second. A bear can crack a human skull with the same ease you might crack an egg over a frying pan. None of these animals are ever truly tamed. They are simply waiting. And as you are about to see, the family in our next case made the same mistake, but on an even more terrifying scale, surrounded by predators inside one Brazilian house.
Inside the Brazilian city of Maringá, a single family pushed the boundaries of insanity by sharing their house with a full pack of 7 adult tigers. This was not a zoo, this was not a reserve, this was a regular family home with bedrooms, a kitchen, and a backyard pool, where 500-pound apex predators casually walked between rooms like overgrown house cats. The story began when the patriarch, Ari Borges, rescued 2 tigers from a struggling circus and brought them home to care for them personally. Over the years, the population grew. Eventually, the property held 7 tigers, who swam in the family pool, ate alongside the children, and stretched out across living room floors during nap time. Picture 7 creatures, each capable of dragging a buffalo into a tree, lying around your living room like sleeping cats. That was the reality inside this household. Authorities, environmental agencies, and federal courts all sounded alarms repeatedly. The Brazilian Environmental Agency, known as IBAMA, launched legal battles to remove the animals, arguing the family was operating an illegal exotic facility and risking public safety with every passing day. The family fought back fiercely, claiming the tigers were not pets, but family members, raised since cubs and bonded with everyone in the household. The legal war dragged on for years through countless court hearings. Yet despite the obvious dangers, no fatal incident ever occurred inside the Borges home. But the next person on this list was not so lucky, because keeping a tiger in your apartment ended exactly the way you would expect.
In 2003, on the 5th floor of a public housing apartment in Harlem, New York, police received a call about a man bleeding from mysterious wounds across his arms and legs. He claimed his pit bull had attacked him. The story sounded believable enough until officers walked toward his apartment door and heard a sound that froze them on the spot. A deep, rumbling growl. The kind of growl no dog on earth has ever produced. The man was Antoine Yates, and inside his small Harlem apartment, he had been secretly raising a 400-pound Bengal tiger named Ming for years. He had bought Ming as a tiny cub for $100 and raised him in the apartment like a giant house cat. By the time police arrived, Ming had grown into a massive predator capable of decapitating a human with a single swipe. To make things even more insane, Antoine was also keeping a 6-foot alligator named Al in the same apartment as a roommate. Authorities had to call in tactical teams. A police officer rappelled down the side of the apartment building with a high-powered rifle and shot Ming with tranquilizer darts straight through the apartment window. The tiger went down, the alligator was captured, and Antoine was arrested. But the fact that a 400-pound carnivore lived hidden inside a New York apartment for years without anyone noticing should terrify every city dweller alive. Yet, at least Antoine survived his pet. The next case proves that some owners pay the ultimate price when their wild companion finally remembers what it really is.
Number 5. Norman Buwalda. In Canada, a wealthy man named Norman Buwalda was famous in his small Ontario town for one strange reason.
He kept a fully grown adult tiger inside a cage on his rural property and treated the massive predator as part of his daily life. He had owned the animal for years, fed it personally, and developed what he believed was an unbreakable bond. Norman had even fought legal battles in court to keep the tiger, defying multiple complaints from worried neighbors who said the animal was a public danger waiting to happen. He won every single court case. He believed his tiger would never harm him. He was tragically wrong. In January 2010, Norman entered the cage to feed his tiger, just like he had done thousands of times before across the years. Witnesses, including his own family members, watched in horror as the animal suddenly snapped. Without warning, the tiger lunged, knocked Norman to the ground, and began mauling him with full predatory intensity. By the time emergency responders arrived, Norman was already dead. The tiger had killed the only human it had ever known as a friend. What makes this case especially chilling is the years of warnings Norman ignored. Wildlife experts had told him repeatedly that captive tigers do not love their owners. They tolerate them until something flips a switch. Hunger, stress, hormones, or pure boredom can transform a tame-looking cat into a 600-pound killing machine in less than 2 seconds. And the next case proves this exact pattern repeats with another massive predator, except this time, the victim was a woman simply trying to clean a cage.
Number 4. Kelly Ann Walls. In 2009, in the small town of Allentown, Pennsylvania, a 37-year-old mother named Kelly Ann Walls walked into a backyard cage to clean it. Inside that cage lived a 350-pound black bear that she had personally raised since it was a tiny cub. She loved that bear. She believed that bear loved her. She had cleaned its cage hundreds of times before with absolutely no incident. To distract the animal during cleaning, Kelly threw a handful of dog food to the opposite end of the cage, expecting the bear to chase it like always. But this time, something was different. Without any warning, the bear ignored the food, turned on Kelly, and attacked her with full predatory force. Her own children, along with neighbor kids playing nearby, watched the entire horror unfold from outside the bars. They screamed for help. A neighbor sprinted over with a rifle, climbed up to the cage, and shot the bear dead. But it was already too late. Kelly was killed almost instantly. Investigators later revealed 2 devastating details. First, professional exotic animal cages are supposed to have 2 compartments, allowing handlers to safely lock the animal in one section while cleaning the other. Kelly's cage had only 1. Second, her husband Michael was operating an exotic animal license that had quietly expired in 2008. The family had been keeping the bear illegally for over a year. But as terrifying as a bear attack inside an American backyard sounds, the next animal on this list is responsible for more human deaths every single year than lions, tigers, and bears combined.
In rural South Africa, a farmer named Marius Els became internationally famous for the most unbelievable pet on the entire continent, a fully grown, 6-foot-tall hippopotamus named Humphrey. Marius had rescued Humphrey as a baby after finding him abandoned in a flooded river. He bottle-fed him, raised him on his farm, and developed a bond so close that videos of Marius riding the hippo like a horse went viral worldwide. He told reporters that Humphrey allowed him to brush his enormous teeth. He called the animal his son. The world fell in love with the story. Then everything went catastrophically wrong. On November 12, 2011, Marius was found floating face down in the river that ran through his property. His body had been savagely mauled and partially submerged. The killer was Humphrey. Without any clear warning, the hippo had attacked Marius, bitten him repeatedly, and dragged him into the water to drown. Marius did not survive. What makes this case truly devastating is what happened in the days before the attack. Humphrey had already started behaving aggressively. He had chased 2 canoeists down the river. He had charged at golfers on a neighboring course. He had tried to escape the property multiple times. Marius kept calming him with food and refused to believe his beloved pet had become dangerous. Here is the terrifying fact people forget. Hippos kill more humans every year than any other large animal in Africa. They are extremely territorial, unpredictable, and have a bite force capable of snapping a crocodile in half. And speaking of crocodiles, the next case happened with one of the most ancient killing machines on the planet.
Number 2. DC-20 and Mary. In January 2019, on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, a 44-year-old laboratory chief named DC-20 walked toward an enclosure to feed an animal she had cared for over many years. The animal was a 17-foot-long, 1,000-pound saltwater crocodile named Mary. DC worked at a pearl farm where Mary was illegally kept inside a concrete pen. She fed the crocodile every single day. She knew its habits. She believed she understood it completely. But on that fateful morning, something terrible happened that nobody saw coming. According to investigators, DC either fell into the enclosure or was somehow pulled in by the crocodile during the feeding. What followed was one of the most disturbing animal attacks ever documented in modern history. The next morning, her colleagues arrived at work and found a scene so horrifying it gave entire police departments nightmares for months. DC's partial remains were inside the enclosure. The crocodile was lying calmly nearby, full and relaxed, refusing to release what was left of her body. Photos that leaked online showed an image so graphic that international media refused to publish them in full. Authorities later revealed that Mary was being kept illegally and possibly underfed, which experts believe contributed to the brutal attack. A starving crocodile does not see a familiar human, it only sees food. But as horrific as being eaten by a crocodile sounds, the final case in this list takes the concept of being devoured by your own pet and twists it into something straight out of a nightmare. And the worst part is, the animals responsible were not even predators.
Number 1. Terry Vance Garner. In 2012, on the rural coast of Oregon, a 70-year-old farmer named Terry Vance Garner walked out to feed his pigs, just as he had done every single day of his life for decades. He never came back. Hours later, his concerned family went searching for him on the property. What they found inside the pig pen would haunt them, the local police, and every investigator on the case for the rest of their lives. There was no body. There were only pieces. His glasses, his dentures, fragments of bone scattered across the mud. His pigs had eaten almost all of him. Investigators believe Terry suffered a sudden medical emergency, likely a heart attack, while inside the pen and collapsed unconscious onto the ground. His pigs, each one weighing around 700 pounds and constantly hungry, did what pigs naturally do when faced with fresh meat. They ate. The county prosecutor revealed an even more horrifying detail later. Some of those pigs had already shown aggressive behavior toward Terry in previous weeks. They had charged him. They had bitten at him. He had ignored every warning sign because he loved them and could not imagine his own animals turning on him. But pigs are omnivores with crushing jaws and zero loyalty when hunger takes over their instincts. They do not care if you raised them, named them, or fed them every morning of their lives. Inside that pen, Terry was no longer their owner. He was simply meat. And that is the brutal truth hidden inside every story on this list. The animals we believe we have tamed are only pretending until the moment they decide otherwise.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.